Good evening, good folks at home. It is the locker room. We're back. There are some things in life I know. For example, I need a haircut. Also, I know that baby panda bears are gorgeous, but they'll still rip your throat out. And I'll also tell you that the man, the big man, is with us again. Doug Hodgson returned from his overseas sojourn. Dougie, welcome back.
Great to see you back, mate.
It is fabulous to see you. You're a fabulous human being, just as I am as well. And we've got a special guest. How's the holiday?
Mate, holiday was brilliant. Didn't want to come back.
Yep.
Well, the wife didn't anyway. Relaxed, enjoy. Club Med Phuket, give you a little bit of a wrap. The people there, in fact, my boy was 6 yesterday, Blakey. He pulled on his first night. He done well. Another story, which was a South African, lovely, got a cuddle, and my wife goes, who does he take after? So I thought, he's dad, I'll have a cuddle too. So I had a lovely cuddle on the first night from a 25-year-old. Lovely lady, looked after our boys at Club Med. We had a fantastic relaxing time, and it's great to be back. I missed the game on Sunday because of flights.
Well, that was something else I was going to mention in the opener, and we do have to acknowledge our special guest as well in the studio for the locker room tonight, Andy Fazekas. Andy, welcome.
How are you, Andy? Is he looking okay?
I think he's got a little bit of stage fright. Anyway, we'll get back
I've got a disclaimer, this is not really Andy, and he's not really moving.
But he is here, so remember that.
Yeah, well, that's a really good
Here in spirit.
John Fodinos. But anyway, we'll get back to Andy in a minute. Look, it's bedlam in here. It's also very, very cold, so welcome to pre-winter, everyone. But having said that, and this is something, Dougie, you weren't here at the weekend, but with all the news with the Heidelberg Alexander team, or Alexandros, last weekend I was lucky enough with Andy John, they're one and the same, to call the game Heidelberg United Alexander against Dandenong Thunder, and it was a cracking game, Dougie. And I actually saw signs on Sunday that suggest to me that we're about to swing on the upward arc with Heidelberg, and I'll talk a little bit more about that. I must mention too, thank you so very much to our sponsors, ANZ of course over at Northland, who have done some terrific things for both the club and this program and the live broadcast on the internet and the podcast, the webcast, the webcam, campong.
That's that thing that we're looking at the moment. You guys, your viewers are like ping pong. He's got ping pong. That's another story too. But that was Thailand.
And don't forget, of course, Boost Juice, which I know the Boost business has been on the downturn because Dougie's not been here to scrutinise what's going on. So you better get back and kick a bit of backside. And of course, Billy P, the Parkmeister at Prime Plastic Bags, and what a wonderful job they do. So I think probably the first thing we might do, Dougie, is have a bit of a retro and just look at the weekend scores. And I know you want to catch yourself up with what's been happening. We started with the Heidelberg game, of course, which we mentioned. Heidelberg getting beaten by Dandenong Thunder by 1-0. And I'll tell you, the difference between Heidelberg and Dandenong Thunder was probably just one or two players. The Dandenong team had a couple of genuine guns. And great, and I'm not going to name names because I can't remember them, but we mentioned one during the broadcast, the hyphenator, who was terrific. John, you might be able to help me out.
And Brian Brand.
And Brian Brand.
At the back, he was a colossus.
Everest, and he scored the goal. But the other scores, Dougie?
Well, ACT quite well, and he's got a good side down to Dandy.
Yep.
And they're one up, they're up on the top. I'll take a knock. He's got a fair bit of depth as well.
No.
And so they're going to be ones to beat and to look out for this year, I think. So,
and Heidelberg were not far away from
which is great to see, because we hit 1-0, with both keepers and bits and pieces. So if they can turn it around, the players are out there.
Yep.
They can get a bit of organisation and hopefully they can go forward, and the Burgers are up there again. But Bentley 2, Northcote 3, which is going to be a big one this week for the Burgers at Northcote.
Yep.
Richmond 1, Zebras 1, Southern Stars zip, Green Gully 1, South Melbourne 1. Melbourne Knights 2.
Huge upset,
which I think a couple of years might have a little bit of a chuckle at the moment. You can have a little chuckle, because I know you will be. Laughing's good for you, apparently. Good for the smiles. Heidelberg 0, Dandy 1, which we know, and Oakley 0, Hume 1. So there might be a little bit more chuckling going on there as well.
So a quick run through the ladder as it stands after 7 completed rounds of the 2012 Victorian Premier League season. I'm looking down the barrel as I tell you this, can't be any more sincere. Dandenong Thunder with 21 points, Green Gully 15, Oakley 13, Bentley Greens 12, South Melbourne and Hume and Northcote City all on 10, Richmond 9, Southern Stars 7, Melbourne Knights 6, Heidelberg and of course the Zebs down the bottom with 4 points each. But so it makes it. Is the season starting to slip away? Who knows? Round 8 coming up this weekend, and we'll have a chat about it.
6 points for Dandy out there, though, Greg. Dandy Thunder, 6 points breaking away, 2 games in, 2 points, 6 points, 2 games. Green Gully. It's getting a little bit tight down the bottom with 4s and 6s and 7s. A little bit of a breakaway. I think the next few weeks are going to be pretty clinical for the bottom 1, 2, probably 5 teams, I think, mate.
Now, one of the great champions of the club, of course, Andy Bazikas, who's with us tonight.
He's not moving too good.
He's not. He's struggling. He's really, really nervous because he's in esteemed company. His first appearance on the locker room. Andy, great champion of the club. What's your thoughts on the way Heidelberg United Alexandra at the moment are presenting?
Struggling at the moment, but the new coach is going to make a difference. We believe that.
I'm starting to question whether we're really doing this, Doug.
But at the end of the day, though, listen, he's smiling. His eyes are bright.
Oh,
his
he's as happy as a clam.
Andy.
He's as happy as a man at a ping pong show.
And that was
this well
okay.
since 1980 grand final.
Can I ask you something? Do we know Andy's best memorable achievement at the club? He was here for how many years? Andy, how many years were you here, mate?
Through the late 70s and early 80s, and the 1980 grand final was the crowning achievement up in Canberra, beating the famous Sydney City Harcoa to the tune of 4-0. And the big man Gary Cole scored a hat-trick.
Love you, Gaz, miss you, Gaz. Haven't spoken to him for a while.
And I set up 1 or 2 of those. Did a good job in that game, and it was a fantastic memory.
And this is another reason why John never got the job with the Muppets. Let's get rid of Andy. See,
Andy, lovely. Thanks, Andy, for coming in.
Thanks,
Take it out, Andy. Thanking you.
John Fodinos, come and join us. You might know him as the stadium announcer here at the Olympic Village.
Welcome back, Dougie.
Good to see you, buddy. Thank you for stepping in and doing your job. Now, have I got anything to worry about?
No, nothing at all.
I need to come back. Am I struggling? Will I get in, or will I be back in the next couple of weeks?
Yeah, no. Well, look, just stay on tenterhooks.
Okay. Just keep me hanging.
John, you keep a close eye on the fortunes of the club. So I just wonder whether you want to reiterate what we were just talking about a moment ago. But that was a really, really gutsy performance on Sunday against Dandenong.
It was probably just lacked really an incisive edge, and I mean, Sasha Aleksovsky coming on at half-time made a big difference with his creativity, but we'd still lacked that really cutting edge up front. And I mean, you're dealing with a defence from Dandenong who's only conceded 1 goal all season, and it showed why on Sunday. They were just
pretty solid.
They were very solid.
That's a really interesting stat that John came up with. That, as you said, in 7 games they've conceded 1 goal, but not 1 from open play. So that was from penalties.
Penalty kick.
So someone's let him down in the box.
So, but I mean, what an extraordinary record.
It's done quite well. But I will.
So Chris Taylor, love
keep
it,
the
bro.
work, CT. Just
and Webster's in just career best form, even in his mid-30s that he is. He's just in career best form in goals.
He's done well for the last. I had 2 years at Dandy with Stewie, and when he's cutting, he's working hard, and he does quite well. And he's good to see him back in there and doing very well and staying where his son should be shining instead of. I think he's the type of boy that's been around a while and probably missed a chance in the A-League, and he's probably, I wouldn't say he's bitter about it, but he'd be disappointed because he has been a good goalkeeper. He's been involved with the Victorian squads, he's held his head high in the VPL, and he has been one of the best goalies, I think, consistently over the last 4 or 5 years. So I think maybe we were a bit disappointed, he hasn't had a sniff, but it comes to age, I suppose. But the man's still doing it, his reflexes are still there, he's still stopping them balls going in.
And saying that in the same vein, Blakey, we saw Chris May in Heidelberg goals pull out a really top game. Won praises from everyone for 2 or 3 world-class saves that he made on the weekend.
Here's one for you. Let me throw it at you. Can you see a resemblance in those two?
Well,
a little bit like the size, the stance. Yeah. I think the way. We've only watched Chris May a few times, and I think he's probably a very good shot stopper.
And he looks to be getting better and better as time goes on, as he's obviously becoming more familiar with the players around him. So, I mean, that's going to be the key. If you don't concede, you're not going to lose games. So,
very much so.
John Fodinos, a club stalwart, Dougie Hodgson, who potentially may have been coaching this fine club. That's another story that we'll have a talk about in a minute, but I really need to get on a bit of a rant. Okay. All right, I'm all for a bit of fun.
Come on.
I'm all for a bit of fun.
Me too. I was in Thailand.
But
Sorry, guys.
Yes, you were. And now I don't know where I'm going with this.
You got a bit of fun,
I do.
bit of a rant,
Yeah,
come on.
I don't mind a bit of light-hearted fun, but a bit of rant. But I'm really, really disgusted at the events here at the Olympic Village a couple of weeks ago.
$12,000 worth, I believe.
$12,000
grand,
worth of
guys.
vandalism. Idiots, clowns, buffoons, arse-wipes, arse-clowns, any combination of the above came into the ground and basically ripped down all the sponsors' advertising hoardings, and we think our sponsors, ANZ, Northland, Prime Plastic Bags and Boost Juice, but ripped down all the advertising hoardings, dumped them in the creek, and it has cost the club around about 12 grand. You idiots! Anyway, sorry, that infuriates me. But it puts the club behind, under the cosh. It puts the club looking down the barrel. So what we're going to do tonight is just, for all the Heidelberg United Alexander supporters,
yes.
Thank you. Just going to tell you now that it would be incredibly invaluable to this club going forward if you would consider helping out in some way, recouping the costs.
Donations? Can we do donations?
Absolutely, we
Donations
can
would be great.
do donations.
Get on Facebook, everyone. That's what's on there. It's on the club site on Facebook. So get on there. There's a site. There's a link up there that Nick's put up, and donate as much as you can. Every little bit will help.
And just as a word of warning to potential vandals who want to replicate such grievous horror as they did a couple of weeks ago, the club is now employing a couple of baby panda bears to patrol the Olympic Village here at Heidelberg. So if you want your throats ripped out, hey, go for it. But otherwise, just stay away, leave the club alone. It's hard enough as they go.
And rumours are that we won't feed them for 3 days, so they'll be
fantastic. So the RSPCA will be on the phone tomorrow morning to you, John.
That's a rumour.
I'll tell you rumour. Allegations. Don't worry about them.
All right, but it is important. Look, the
What's
club.
wrong, mate, Greg? Like the club work hard. Everyone's out. Just not just here, but other clubs and other societies and everything. They work hard just for whoever the people are to do. What do people get out of vandalism?
Yep.
Like, you want to put some energy in, go and do some days' work and see how good you are at the end of it. It's wrong.
Yep.
Dougie, there's a guy on Foxtel called Bill O'Reilly, and he calls people pinheads, and that's about the best thing you could call these people, pinheads.
So if you guys are part of the club, which I doubt you are, very disappointed, and us that are part of the club, what can we do to help and try and get the club back in the in front and get it going where we need to and get the old publicity and the signs out there again, I suppose.
Yeah, absolutely. So don't forget, if you've got the chance, if you've got a couple of bob to spare, the club could certainly use your help. And I know if you're watching this, if you've turned off your porn, you've turned off your Facebook, you have no real friends. You know that, don't you?
Not them 300 that are there on the left-hand side and out on the Facebook says friends. I haven't got them either.
Get off your internet dating sites. Get off your internet
RSVP,
dating
get off
sites.
that thing. What's
I don't know, that was pretty good. It worked well for me at one point. Yeah, very important that you know that. Now, look, I want to talk first of all about the 2 new players that have come into the club. We saw Kamal Ibrahim. Kamal came into the side a couple of weeks ago. He's an exciting prospect.
He's a good prospect, very good prospect. I seen, we go back 2 weeks ago when we were doing the commentating, Greg, and he's showing signs. And I know it's a discussion, and this is not having a crack at any coach or anything, but he got taken off, and I obviously thought it'd be for injury, but every time he gets that ball, he's going to do something with it.
He's got an X factor.
He's got an X factor. If it's good, bad, he might run out of ideas.
He looks to take on players, get in behind defenders.
And that's going to create.
And defenders hate that. I mean, keepers hate.
We hate people
get in behind defenders.
We don't like people Johnny running at us. We don't like,
it.
honestly, people that run at gigs, he's done it for years, running at people, and he's a young lad, he's come on leaps from man, so I've got high hopes for him in his VPL. I think he can make some left backs and right backs and centre halves. A couple of horrid nights and days, boys.
Well, he's certainly reinventing the phrase, I don't want to see Kamal ever again.
Which is great. What about our centre half? How did my old mate Griffin go?
And Brett Griffiths, the other new boy, I thought he was...
Well.
Yeah.
Doing well.
Looks to be a good organiser, knows...
He's
obviously a professional from the UK, and it shows. The boy knows where to go, how to direct the other defenders, and looks to be a good organiser back there.
So we're looking really, then we're not bad there, we're looking for a few more, which is going to be, I don't know, when does the open deadline opens up, the old transfer, how many weeks we got?
Early June.
1st of July, 1st of June, 1st of July, just looking at 1st of July. 1st of July.
That's Sweetie, by
That's
the way.
Sweetie
It's good
over
to see
there.
you back, Sweetie.
Miss you, Sweetie.
And I've got to tell you that one of those rare occasions when Sweeties come through, because it really is frigid here in the deep recesses of the Olympic Village out here in the northern suburbs. And Sweetie was resourceful enough to actually find a heater. Not only that, he negotiated his way with the dials to the point where we're actually getting heating in the room. Therefore, the hypothermia that was imminent at one point has now been put at bay for a little while.
You're okay. You're wearing your jacket here.
I am wearing several
Look
jackets.
at DH here.
Doug's shirt's still to come. We will be having. This is an awkward, and we're good at this. This is an awkward segue into what I wanted to talk about with you gentlemen too, along with the changes in possibly the format. Look, it is no reflection on Alexander. Oh,
Alexander!
I'm going to be doing that a lot. It excites me in ways that you'll never quite
Give me
understand.
fair warning.
I'm going to do it again, John.
Alexander!
See, I just get all quivery and you know.
I got goosebumps.
That's because you're freezing cold. We've still got Dougie's shirt to come. It's so good to have Doug back. It's great to have John as well. We do want to talk about the coaching role, and first of all, I think we should pay some sort of offer some sort of thanks to John Sedaris, who was the caretaker coach when Andy Blahos stepped down. I think he's done a terrific job of keeping it together, and again, that you can base that very much on the last two performances, and the performance against Andy Blahos. So well done, John.
Well done, Johnny.
Well done, Johnny.
And he's very knowledgeable football brain, John Sedaris. So I believe he's staying on as assistant to Kenny. So at least his knowledge and that will be kept at the club, and I'm sure the boys will appreciate that, and the team will go forward well with that. Yeah.
And you mentioned Kenny. Of course, we're talking about one of the great names of Australian soccer, and that's of course Kenny Murphy, who has come to Heidelberg as the senior coach. He took over this week. I was out on the track tonight, just watching him take the charges through their routines. But it's been a really interesting story since Andy Blahos sat down, and you were central, you were pivotal to the whole story, Dougie. So from your point of view, good luck to Ken Murphy. He's a great man. I worked with, I'll just tell you quickly, in the late 80s, early 1990s, I was very fortunate to work with Peter Desir and a couple of other people on getting the NSL on radio back on 3OK, Super Soccer Sunday. You remember that?
I do remember.
And it was a lot of work for little reward, and the one chap who came on board as a special comments man and was with us, I think, for our first 2 seasons, he did a wonderful job for no recompense. That's how much he loves the game, was in fact Kenny Murphy. So it's terrific to see him around the place again and catch up with him. But Doug, tell me the coaching saga from your point of view, because your name was mentioned in dispatches, Doug.
There was. I spoke to the club in probably very, very deep chats and big talks. Obviously, the job was offered, and obviously I'll be honest, I had to decline. And it took a lot of thinking. I was away on holiday, and the decision was made while I was on holiday. So it was more to do with, and I obviously to say it's 3 businesses, 80 staff.
And a lovely family.
And a family, 2 boys, 6 and 9, and my wife, and we work hard. We work 7 days a week, and we've tried to balance how we did. Full support from my wife. She said, "That's what you want to do, we'll do it." But then the buts came in. How can we do this? And my business, we bought another business called Salsas in November. I'm going to do a fair bit of work in there, and my medical, my health. Obviously Tuesday I'm in hospital next week for my knee. I'm in for a surgery on Thursday on my knee.
And there's a full lobotomy in the next couple of weeks, which will be sensational.
So with between me family, my work, and basically my own personal body, it was very hard to find the time to do. And then the people that know me, Blakey, know if I'm going to do something, I do it right. I do it 120%. And it was hard for me to say no.
You can't actually literally do something 120%.
But we can, because I can.
Well, hyperbole is everything.
But I have to admit, though, it was one of the hardest things to say, because I love the challenge.
Yep.
And I think I could have, I had some, and I've said this on Facebook to the on the forum. I am still here with me and you, and we're doing this and being part of the club, and Nick and Sweetie over there, and everyone's Sweetie.
You're right down there, Andy.
So, in any way,
I'm okay.
All right, keep it up, Andy.
Who's the bastard in me chair? Piss off.
So, well, look, so we'll help them whenever we can. If Kenny Murphy wants some players that I've got from overseas, won't be it, and away we go. So, but it was, guys, it was a very hard decision to say no. Will I be back at Burgers coaching one day? I'd like to say hope so. Was this time right? For me, I was, but obviously for the businesses and families and medical reasons, no. So, we wish Kenny Murphy well, and make sure, mate, and the Burgers, get behind them. We're there behind them, us three, and support in every way we can.
And Murph's got quite a coaching and playing pedigree, of course, and he was one. We talk, we have a bit of a giggle about you being a hard nut, but I can tell you one thing, as a player, Kenny Murphy was, pound for pound, one of the toughest, most ruthless, most relentless midfielders I've ever seen. He would be, John, I would suggest, a player you wouldn't have wanted to go out and play against, particularly what he pulled on the green and gold of Australia.
He was a great player and uncompromising. I mean, skillful, creative, but will to win. And just with the chats we've had with him in the last week or so since he's taken over the reins, you can tell the look in the eyes there, and he's keen to do well.
He'll be, like you said, he's been round. He knows he knows what's going on. He'll bring what Heidelberg needs. I'm not saying there wasn't there before, but it's I'm not about saying it's hard to be on the paddock and coach at the same time. I don't think, in my opinion only, I don't believe it works.
I don't think you can do it in this day and age. I think 20 or 30 years ago when the game was different.
Quicker now, John. Very quick game now.
And you get scrutinised, and you need to be a tactician. You need to.
You'll be able to see it. You'll be able to see what's happening. Where can you break things down? It's called analysing the game and seeing at half time, or when you can do your changes. And when you're out there in the thick of it, you're worried about your own game. Then you're worried about, okay, what's he doing? Then you're looking at the side and you think, and obviously that's been a big part of it. But now we've got Kenny Murphy in there, John's still there, and between the two of them, hopefully they can push on and we can get Burgers from number.
And having said that too, Andy's still got it as a player. I mean, showed in the game against Southern Stars just recently that
Did Andy play on the weekend without doing that?
No, he wasn't playing.
He's injured.
Just the first game that he played was against the Southern Stars about a month ago over at Bentley Greens complex, and it just shows he's got the touch on the ball. He thinks a pace ahead of a lot of other players. And
so good knowledge and good experience, and if you can bring that into play, bring people into play and use him effectively,
well, the chemistry between him and Sasha Alexovsky that night really worked well, because you can tell two players on a similar wavelength does work.
Oh, there was talk of engagement and marriage. That's how close they were. Now,
right, don't forget them sponsors anyway. The aliens there,
I was going to shush now, because I was going to pull in a surprise. Just wanted to mention that Murph makes his coaching debut for Heidelberg United Alexander this coming Sunday in round 8 action of the Victorian Premier League, and that's out at the John Cain Reserve, which hasn't necessarily been a happy hunting ground for Heidelberg. We'd love a big contingent of Alexander supporters out there. 3 o'clock on Sunday. It really is a 6-pointer. We're getting to that point. I think you'll see some tangible change this week in the team. Murph will bring a certain ruthlessness and uncompromising nature to the game. If you turn out there, make your noise heard. Surprise one, John. Oh, Lexington! There, gotcha.
But though, Blakey, we were both watching. You can see the tempo quite high out there training too, which is great to see. So
until I stopped feeling any feeling in the bottom half of my legs, I was really enjoying watching the training session out there. You've got to remember too that we're here by virtue of not only our parents, who were kind enough to give birth to us. Doug, I'm sure they had regrets in your case. That was a really mean thing to say. I retract that.
They're not endorsing.
But not only are we good enough to have, I don't know where I was going, but we are here on the locker room. John, Dougie, myself. I'm Greg Blake, in case you didn't know. Well, I used to be. Now I'm kind of just this.
Googling.
Yeah, Google.
Google Greg Blake and
I'd love to. I haven't been Googled for months.
And email us. Send us some feedback so Greg can answer some of your answers. Question answers, one or the other. Okay. Bring it in.
It's all very confusing. And that's why you'll
never
get
be on the Facebook page too, mate.
Yes, of course. That's going to happen in the near future.
He knows how to turn his phone off.
Now, I just went, and Doug mentioned it before, but I sort of veered away from that. Don't forget, we really have some lovely people getting involved with both the locker room and the live broadcasts of all the home games. So we've got to acknowledge them. I know we sound off a lot about it, but the ANZ Bank over at Northland is the place to go if, surprisingly enough, you're interested in money matters, okay?
That's not laundering,
Yeah.
that's borrowing.
Pointless to go in there if you're looking for a leg of lamb, but, well, I don't know, you never know.
Never know.
They could diversify.
It might be one of these rare creatures that deposits.
Well, that's like that. Have you ever seen, this is what mystifies me. There's a place out in Footscray, I only saw it last week. I'm sorry I'm digressing. But it's, you know, one of those caravans, but it's called the Kebab Bank. What is that about? What were you thinking when you named it? I've got a good idea, Hakeem. Let's call it the Kebab Bank. What do? Take your kebabs in there, deposit them, wait for them to grow another one, and take them out and interest them. How does that? Anyway, that's enough.
With spices.
I forgot. Now given the Kebab Bank, actually they should sponsor
Sponsor us, so let's get on them. Sweetie, you're on them tomorrow, asking for a hit.
Boost Juice. They are fabulous. Dougie Hodgson is the maestro, the El Primissero, I'm not even sure that was a language, of Boost Juice at
Doncaster,
and
Bayside Frankston, and Salsa Frankston too, so come and see us, look after us, go and see Phil at Doncaster, and give me a little tap and say, Phil,
give him a poke. Say, yeah, this is from Doug.
That's what they do on
Tell him it's
Facebook.
Dougie sent you. Tell him I'm Dougie sent you.
Look at you lighting up now, Mr. Hall.
It's 8 o'clock. It's not 8 o'clock, I don't...
And Prime Plastic. Where were you when we needed you?
Yeah.
The Puppet Master.
Time
Prime
to get
Plastic
Billy.
Bags.
We made Billy. Bags.
I want to get Bill on the show. I want to talk to him about plastic bags.
Bags.
Sweet. We want the Parkmaster on. We want to talk plastic bags.
UNs.
And so there's Boost, Prime Plastic Bags, and ANZ, of course, at just over the road here at Northland. I think, given the time constraints, and it's been a fabulous program. Andy Bazikas, thanks for joining us. No worries. Sorry. Oh, it's too late now, you twit.
There we are.
John Forders, you know, I'll tell you how professional you are. I'll tell
Very.
you are so professional, you should be head of sport at SBS Television.
Oh, no.
You're listening, Les? And
Craig Foster would be happy about that.
oh yes, poor old Fozzie.
Fozzie.
He took his serious tablets a few years ago and he's never come back, has he?
Can I get a chalkboard, Mikey?
And no, you
The
can't.
smart
No, you
case?
you
Move
really
around.
What do they call it?
quickly through the round 8 games. Melbourne Knights host Oakley. Green Gully are at Hume. Dandenong Thunder hosts South. That's a big game for South Melbourne now. Dandenong Thunder hosting South Melbourne Richmond against Southern Stars at Southern Stars.
Burnley Greens, that is.
The Zebs hosting the Greens, and of course the big game that we will be focusing on. It's Northcote City against Heidelberg United. Alexander, wait for it! Oh, Alexandros! That's Sunday at the John Cain Reserve there in Northcote. So that's going to be terrific. Kenny Murphy's first game as coach.
Good luck, Kenny. Hope you get a result, mate.
He's a wonderful bloke. He really is a
He
wonderful
does.
bloke.
So,
I hope he does well.
everyone get right behind the lads and get down there. John Day.
Just see, where's he?
I know.
He's behind the chair before we missed him.
I know. It's sad.
I've been thawing out for the last 20 minutes.
You have.
Well, the heater's just kicked in, isn't it? You got your jackets on you, so you want to have a look inside this body. You know, pretty, I'll give you that tip.
Just as well the folk can't see what's happening under the-
Nipples the size of ice cream cones at this point. Speaking of which, how was your holiday?
That was good.
Dougie's jumper.
So, yes, Dougie, John, thank you so much. You filled in the commentary of the weekend. You were, did it with dignity and professionalism and aplomb, and I really...
Well, that's a first.
Absolutely, that's...
Funny joke.
I'm not on the payroll.
No, never will be. So thank you, go. Thank you, John. Doug,
My shirt, this one's, this is the original again, Liverpool. Can you read that? What does it say?
it says to the Dukes...
That's not a dot either.
To the Dukes.
At the
To
end.
the Dukester, good luck in Oz. See you soon. Scribble, scribble, scribble.
Oh, Jamie Redknapp.
Ah, Jamie Redknapp, whose
Original.
signature looks like he's got some sort of...
Scribble, scribble,
Yeah,
scribble.
pretty
Such a days when Liverpool actually won a few games.
Yeah, and he's a...
Morale.
Well, I'm unlucky.
I'm a Liverpool fan.
So Kenny
Yeah.
Dalglish was he's gone, as we know. But Redders is I've got actually Jamie's a good friend. Was at our wedding, which is
Name
good to see.
dropping.
Name dropping again. I'm allowed to him and
What you
Louise.
need to do is get back on the internet, revisit some of these shows, and see how many people Doug Hodgson has apparently
Well, we had a
rubbed
bet.
shoulders
We
with.
had a bet. I mean, I could rub shoulders with.
We did have a bet, but I'm starting to get embarrassed for you. You look like you're a big note of it.
But anyway, no, it was great. It was one of Liverpool's Christmas. We spoke about Liverpool, so this was the best one I could find tonight.
Well, you look splendid, and to be honest with you, given it's below zero, it's about 5 below zero at the moment, I think you're exceptionally brave, man. The other thing is too, folks, these are the sort of people that make these clubs go around. People like John, people like Sweetie, and people like Dougie. I'll just tell you, since I've said this before, and I don't want to labour the point, but I've only got to know Doug personally since we've started doing the locker room and so forth, and he's one of the most sincere, genuine, caring men that I have met for Don't Touch Me ever. And I know.
There's a fitty. Obviously, there's a fitty.
And I know full well that Dougie was really torn up about not being able to take the Heidelberg job. So believe you me, he has the interests of the club at heart. That's all we've got for the locker room.
Let me finish on this, and I'm going to butt in because I want to, and because he said such things nice about me, I think it's only right that I say nice things about Greg, and I have to admit that I'm going to anyway. I've known Greg a little bit longer, the outside of Greg, and we have got close as we've gone on. I sit next to you now. But you've been a great man in the game,
Doug and
great
Greg,
in the
sitting
sport.
in a tree, K-I-S-S-I-N.
You've been good. I want you guys to Google Greg Blake. I want you to Google his name and watch some of these shows this man used to do back in the old ugly shows, which SBS we called them, ugly. But Blakey's
Channel
31. But the man is a legend and fantastic. So make sure, look him up, have a look, because Greg, without you on this show, and I mean this doesn't tick either, mate, so we appreciate
We are
you.
totally going to make it.
Good team.
Locker room next week. Dougie won't be here because he's going into hospital to have that
Number 6 on the right, Lee.
So we wish him luck with that. We can't wait for him to come
We
back.
might get the
John,
real
you're
Andy
terrific.
Bazookas next
Maybe we can do a
week.
live broadcast of the operation.
And let's and Sweetie's hand being gross. Let's all get under us later on.
Oh, Alexandros!
See you next week, guys.
Enjoy.
Hermaphrodites.